Hi, it's Rob. Welcome to another video. Thanks for taking the time to tune into the channel. So this video, I've done a few videos similar to this over the last couple of months where I just go through a cube. Plenty of cubes in this room. So this is a cube full of punk, new wave, bit of post-punk maybe in here as well. See what you think. There might be some people watching this that have got every single record that I show. Who knows? But yeah, let's see what's in this cube. First one is a record that probably 5 years ago I didn't know anything about. The Feelies. I think it's from 1980, this. I think it's their debut, Crazy Rhythms. A really, really strong record. I mean, 1980s, one of my favourite years for music, and I'm pretty sure this would be in amongst maybe my top 10, top 20 records from that year. My recent video was bands, artists who have only done one record, and I'm pretty sure Germ Free Adolescence is the only record by X-Ray Specs. I think it's 78. Great record. And this is one maybe I should have featured on that video. This is a Police bootleg. Sting the Girls and Make Them Die. This is one that I've picked up this year, I think. I was trying to think how many records I've picked up this year. Maybe 150. 150 so far. That's a lot to some people and not a lot to many others I know. So this is a record that I picked up this year, The Crack. Paid a tenner for it. I think it's either 79 or 80, isn't it? Famous, of course, for Babylon's Burning and Something That I Said. It's a really good record and a really good, one of my favourite covers as well. Hyena, the 6th album by Susie and the Banshees. This is an original copy from 1984. Really good one. I do like Susie and the Banshees. I'm not sure whether they did a bad album, and this is a good one. In 82, the Jam announced the split, and this was kind of their last, well, one of the last releases. Released the compilation Best Of album Snap, and this came out. Different concerts from sort of 1980 and very early recordings. Sort of a bit of an essential album if you're a Jam fan. Lord Upminster, an Ian Jury album. Do have plenty of Jury in the collection, so it's a good one. The Concert Angels from Sheffield. So this is, maybe I could do with an upgrade of this. I think this is their debut. There's quite a few debuts in here. Waiting for a Miracle. Again, probably over the last 5 years I've got into the Concert Angels, and yeah, their early albums are excellent. The Members, I think they were a London punk band, a little bit of a reggae vibe. I think this was my favourite album, or is my favourite album, from 1979. Drums and Wires. Great record, great sleeve. Another one of my favourites from 78, Alantos de Moore. I've got quite a few copies of this with different coloured fonts. But yeah, great record by the Police. And another debut, Real Life. I think there's a few magazine records in here. Who do I prefer, magazine or the Buzzcocks? It's very, very difficult. Yeah, Howard Devoto left the Buzzcocks, and yeah, I really do like magazine. One of the many Devo records in my collection. The first album by Generation X. I just missed out being Generation X, me. I think Generation X is 65 to 1980, isn't it? So yeah, this has got Ready Steady Go on it, and yeah, they were kind of the pin-up boys of new wave, weren't they? Billy Idol, quite striking, and yeah, good record. Blondie, I've kind of been doing a little bit of a deep dive into the first two Blondie records, and Plastic Letters is a record I really do like. So another great cover featuring, of course, the 80-year-old Debbie Harry. Not 80 on there, but I think she's probably about 35. Another debut. I think this is one a lot of people have got in the collection. It's pretty strong. I do like the B-52's albums. I think they're all pretty good, particularly the ones in the 80s and early 90s. So yeah, really good one. The Jam's fourth album, Setting Suns. This is not my original copy. I think all my original copies, I had a mate who I played football with in the 90s, early 90s, and I lent him nearly all my Jam records, and I never got them back, so I had to sort of get them back in the collection. This is a Jam record that really I never rated as much, but I think there was that many great records coming out in 79, 80. But when you listen back to this, it's a bit of a masterpiece. I think it's a great record. 1977, debut from Talking Heads. I do have most of Talking Heads albums, and I think they're all pretty consistent. Modern Lovers Live. I don't have that much by Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers, so it's nice to have this one in the collection. Another debut, of course. I do have quite a few copies of this because there's different coloured backs. You know what I'm like for getting different sort of covers, and yeah, great record. Most people know about My Aim Is True. So the Tubes Remote Control is a record that, so there's a single off here called Prime Time, which was a small hit, but I really enjoyed that. I really like it. And the Tubes, probably over the last sort of 5-6 years, I've been listening to and finding that I really do like the Tubes. And yeah, that image of the baby just staring at a screen, you know, that's something that we never do now, is it? Stare at screens. Another one of my many Devo records. And the second album by XTC. It was just kind of, Barry Andrews is still in the band. Dave Gregory joined, didn't he, on the Drums and Wires album. But yeah, good album. Tubeway Army album. This is pretty different from what Gary Newman was going to do. Is this better than Gary Newman? Maybe. Sham 69 in sort of 78, 79, where I would be like 13, 14, and we used to sing If the Kids Are United and Hurry Up Harry. Yeah, Jimmy Percy was a real character. Another one of my Talking Heads records there. Songs about buildings and foods. Maybe my favourite. Black and White by the Stranglers is, I'm trying to think which album that is. Is it the third album? It's a good one. They're all good, these in here. Tonic for the Troops. The Boomtown Rats. Yeah, I mean, only cost me a couple of quid this. It's got Rat Trap on it and Like Clockwork. I do think the Boomtown Rats were pretty good. John Otway, Wild Willie Barrett. I remember seeing him on Top of the Pops, and he was really out there doing the track really free. And I've got a bit of fondness for John Otway. I've got a couple of records by him. Tom Robinson, Power in the Darkness. Yeah, I mean, I remember, I'm pretty sure he sung Sing If You're Glad to Be Gay on Top of the Pops, didn't he? Which was not a normal thing to do in 1978. There's Hersham Boys. I can remember going on a school trip and we were all singing Hersham Boys on the back seat of the coach. Second album by the Stranglers. Yeah, my sister, who was 5 years older than me, was heavily into the Stranglers. It was funny because her collection sort of went from Slade to Rainbow to Queen, and then all of a sudden she was bringing home punk records, and yeah, she certainly had this one. Third record, Positive Touch by the Undertones. I do like the Undertones. This is a lot softer than the debut album. And tracks like It's Gonna Happen on here, so a lot more mellow, but still enjoyable. What happened to Fergal Sharkey? I think he's saving the rivers now, isn't he? The Undertones, his second album, Hypnotised. I think this one's got My Perfect Cousin on it. I always quite like that cover out. It's just so naive, isn't it? I love it. I love that album cover. Another album cover that I love. I never knew that was Baxter Jury, Ian's son. I think he was about 7 on that photo. But yeah, that's a real classic, isn't it? New Boots and Panties. At some point, it was a fiver. Sandinista by The Clash. Great record. Yeah, I love Sandinista. This one's kind of sneaked in this, but yeah, I mean, it's a bit punky, isn't it? Rhythm and Blues, Down by the Jetty. Great record by Dr. Feelgood. A repress of one of my favourites from '79, Entertainment by the Gang of Four. And then this is a real nice one to have in the collection. I don't think I've ever seen this since I picked it up. I think this is from 1980. Legend Lives On, Jar Wobble, Betrayal. So I think he played bass, didn't he, in Public Image for a while. And he's done a lot of solo stuff. And this is such a good record. The singles, Going Steady. All the A-sides are on the A-side, and all the B-sides are on the B-side. But yeah, which is better, the B-side or the A-side? Some great B-sides by the Buzzcocks. Yeah, a bit of a spin-off, wasn't it, from Susie and the Banshees, and yeah, The Creatures, featuring Budgie and Susie. The album Feast. TV21. Thin Red Line. This is a record that just sort of I was curious about. I think it's from 1980. I think it was Scottish, and it's a really good record. Kind of new wave post-punk. Excellent. I do have a couple of copies of this, and I did show it on my They Only Did One Album video, Waiting for the Floods by The Armory Show. I was told in the comments that Richard Jobson's recently done an album by Armory Show, not The Armory Show, and I think he's the only original member, so that might be worth a listen. A Wire record that I picked up from Den Boss that I wasn't overly impressed with. Yeah, very all over the place. Parts of it are great and other parts of it are sort of unlistenable. The Best of Blondie. So we did the greatest hits video recently, but I do have quite a few best ofs, and I'm considering doing a best of video in the future. James Griffiths has just done that video. Susie and the Banshees. Their studio albums were excellent, but the singles were pretty successful. From this one's not got Dear Prudence on it, which was probably their biggest hit, but they had a lot of success in the late 70s, early 80s. Christine, Happy House, Hong Kong Garden, some great stuff on here. So if you're not someone on here who you're not as au fait with Susie and the Banshees, give that a listen. This is a Japanese red vinyl bootleg of a Clash concert. And make a bit of room here. Still got a few to go. We've got Songs of the Free, the third album, I think, by the Gang of Four. That one's from maybe 81, maybe. Might just consider taking a few of these records out just to make it a little bit easier. Just bear with me for a moment. So what we got here? We do have the Fall. So I do have quite a few Fall records. Not as many as I'd like. I know there are people. I think Ben Rankin in Australia might have every Fall album. A later Wire album, which is well worth checking out. And the Flying Lizards. This is, pretty sure this is their debut. And I think they use a different singer on every album. This is the one that contains Money. Try and push them back a little bit. Crash Course by the UK Subs. I think it's from 1980, this. So I was fortunate to see the UK Subs supporting the Damned in 1980. And yeah, the language on this album is offensive. Can't have any offensive language, can we? Yeah, this is another one that's... People in the comments on my last video mentioned the Redskins. And yeah, it slipped my mind that I even had it in the collection. But yeah, this is their only record from... It must be from 84. And the follow-up to Nuclear Days, The Vapors and Magnets, which is pretty good. It's got a track called Jimmy Jones on it, which was a single that should have been a big hit but wasn't. This is kind of a best of, or just a sort of a retrospective, giving you an idea of magazine after the fact. Picked it up for £8 from King B Records, great record shop on the outskirts of Manchester. I did see a copy of this in Den Bosch with it. I'm pretty sure it had a red cover. I should have picked that up. This is an EP by the Buzzcocks. I'm pretty sure this is a second album by the Comsat Angels, another good one. And the second album by the B-52s, Wild Planet. And a live album, Noctune. Double, Susie and the Banshees, and maybe my favourite Jam album, Sound Effects from 1980. A couple of magazine albums here now. Magic Murder and The Weather. Again, that's a King B sticker, so that's a decent price for that album. Along with Secondhand Daylight. As I say, these magazine records are well worth picking up. You don't see them that often, but when you do, I'd recommend you picking them up if you've not got them. Public Image debut, that was VCLT from who was it from? It was from Alan Static Traveller, the owner of Pension Derrick. Yeah, one of my probably my favourite Blondie album, Eat to the Beat. And the fourth album in the green bag, Black Sea by XTC. And this is a Rumour album called That. And that's Barney Bubbles, who did a lot of album covers for Costello and various other Injury as well. That's one of his album covers. I think we've got a couple in here. Kiss in the Dream House, which is a decent copy. I've got that pretty cheap, I think. Susie and the Banshees, quite a few Susie albums in here. Second album, repress of Love Bites by the Buzzcocks. And Dawn of the Dickies, pretty sure that's 1980, isn't it? I do like the Dickies. And the Jam from 78. Omocons. And 4. Debut album by the Stranglers. And yeah, it's here again, Plastic Letters. I just wanted to look at Debbie Harry again. The Great Rock and Roll Swindle film soundtrack featuring 21 new tracks. Modettes, this is a Record Store Day. I think they only did one album as well. And I always thought they were a little bit of novelty. That is a great record. And so is this. This is The Modern World by The Jam from 77. And the second album by The Clash, which, similar to The Modern World, really, is not thought of as being their best album. And it's not their best album, but it's a good record. I think this is the second album, isn't it? Join Hands. by Susie and the Banshees, and The Damned, Machine Gun Etiquette, Running Out of Room, debut by the Buzzcocks, Another Music in a Different Kitchen, and another Dickies album. I think that one would be the debut, The Incredible Shrinking Dickies. So when I was at school, I absolutely loved Banana Splits. So when the Dickies did their version of Banana Splits, that was just excellent. A repress of Unknown Pleasures by Joy Division. I was looking at a book because I started writing down how much I bought records for, and I found the book, and I paid 11 quid for that from Amazon. And a repress of one of my favourites from '79, Cut by the Slits. Another repress of London Calling by the Clash. Nearly at the end here. The complete BBC recordings of Joy Division, Do It Yourself, second album. Got the In-Betweenies on it. That's Barney Bubbles cover, Enduring the Blockheads, and that's another Barney Bubbles cover. The Attractions did a solo album, Mad About the Wrong Boy. Fisher Z, who over the last 4 or 5 years I've been really getting into. I had definitely overpaid 15 quid for that, but I was just after a copy, and when I saw it, I just bought it, and I really do like Fisher Z. I think that's my favourite album by them. And finally, Lena Lovage and Flex. Is it from '78, that? She was big for a minute with Lucky Numbers and Say When, but yeah, nice having the collection. So yeah, plenty of cubes here to go through. That's a cube of post-punk, new wave, punk. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you've got any comments, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.